Hi.
How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Pretty
You hung
good.
in there all the way to the end.
Oh yeah,
Yes. Awesome. I see you have a Godzilla on there.
I
Um,
do.
we we know you're a big fan of Godzilla because we saw the Godzilla print, the Godzilla sticker.
Yeah,
And- oh, there they are. Look at that. So
here
you can
they
see what the
are.
size of them are. Beautiful. I
Listen,
can't remember who won those, but congratulations to that person.
I will be emailing you, whoever you are.
Right. We will be sending, I'm going to send your emails to the artist. The artist will contact everybody directly about that. So yeah, let's talk about your kind of background and your education and how that shaped your interest in printmaking.
Yeah. So I'm born and raised in the Central Valley in California.
Yeah.
The what do you call it? The breadbasket? I don't know. Where all the agriculture is. So
I didn't know there was a name for it.
yeah.
So you're in Modesto right now, right?
Modesto.
Modesto. Okay.
This is my debut of my studio.
Yes. Right, because you just moved.
I did just move.
You
So
unpacked your studio so quickly for us.
I did my best. I do everything last minute, including my website. If anybody has any problems with shipping, email me because I don't know what I'm doing.
That's a nice disclaimer. Okay, so your educational background, when you were going to school, you got interested in printmaking because it was sort of like a peer pressure thing where your other friends were already doing printing and they were like, come do the printing with us, right?
It was I was kind of getting out of a peer pressure situation because so I started out at Stan State University here in Turlock as an art major, and I've always had a huge interest in, of course, Godzilla, but dinosaurs, just monsters in general, humongous beasts. I'm all about that. And I started doing a geology major. I took a dinosaurs course, and my professor handed me a double major form, and I signed that bad boy, and then my life just was absolutely insane. Geology is so interesting and incredible, and has to do with obviously the whole earth, but it's so hard, and I really struggled. So I did that for 2 solid years. I took all these courses, went on field trips, bought the boots and the vest. I was a geologist. And then
the boots and the vest tell you that. That's when you know you're a geologist.
Yeah, when you have the vest, you know you're a geologist.
You know you're a geologist.
It's filled with colored pencils and rocks and a compass. And so I was getting really burnt out. I had a super tough semester. A lot of life things were going on. And I was like, I think it's probably best for my mental health if I just return to my roots. And so I went back to the art department. I was thinking about applying for the fine arts major instead of just a regular art. And we had recently, the art department had hired a new printmaking professor. And Stan State has a really incredible printmaking department. It has everything. And so this professor, shout out Marty Azevedo, he kind of just brought new life into the department. So I wanted to take a new class with this new professor. So I took relief printmaking, and I just became super enamored with it. It's such an old artistic process, and just the ability to print all these identical pieces or choose to make one-off pieces. Just the idea of like this duplication is so cool.
So, okay, just to go into what relief printing is, because that's kind of a unique to printing term. So like your lino block, for instance, would be considered in that category of relief printing.
So my main forms of printmaking that I like to do are relief and screen printing. Okay. Honestly, they're the easiest you can do at home. It is difficult to do relief without a press, but we have wooden spoons for that.
Yep.
So it's accessible. And so here's the block that I'm going to be demoing for you today.
Oh, look at that.
So relief is basically you start out with your block, your plate. So I use linoleum for this, and this is what the carving tool looks like.
Oh, how neat.
And so what you're doing is you're slowly removing material you're carving away, and whatever is left gets inked up by your roller.
It's sort of like the opposite of what you would think of for drawing. So like when you draw it's additive. This is like subtract.
Yes. So I TA'd for a little bit, And I had done this in high school, so I already had kind of an idea of what to do, but I TA'd for some of the lower division printmaking classes, and a lot of the students, it's hard to kind of wrap your mind around it because you want to carve your lines away,
brain bender,
but then you're left with white lines and a super black block. So it takes some getting used to, but that's what relief is. You're removing material and then you're able to ink up the surface that is still there.
Cool. Are you doing a demo for us?
Yeah. Do you want me to do that right now?
Yeah, why don't you just do it right now? That's great. You got it right there. So
I can walk and chew gum at the same time. So
I love it.
We can keep talking.
Okay,
so,
great.
But I'll explain what I'm doing.
Yeah, tell us what you're doing.
I'm doing it. So I have, can you see me?
Yep, I can see you.
So I have my plate. This is my brayer. I just use Speedball. You can use Speedball ink. So printmaking can be so accessible. That's why I love it so much as well. You can just do it in your kitchen. But this is a brand of ink that you can get at like Michael's if you want. Speedball is an amazing company. I love them so much.
And when we were talking yesterday or 3 days ago, whenever we were talking, you had talked about you were using oil-based ink.
Yeah, so here's my oil-based ink. Let me do the influencer. Beauty. Is it working?
It's not getting in focus, but that's okay. It's Gamblin, I think might have been the brand name.
Yes, Gamblin Relief Ink. So this is an oil-based ink, which I prefer because it's just so shiny and rich. And it's awesome for printing t-shirts as well, because then that design is on there forever. And
watercolor was the other thing I think was the other advantage is you can put something printed with the oil-based ink. You said that you could do watercolor over the top of it and the lines wouldn't bleed.
Yeah, which is super awesome because I'm a nervous printmaker. I don't usually do reduction cuts, which is a kind of printmaking where you start with a block and then you slowly carve away and you print color, carve, color, carve, color. Right. And if you mess up, you can't go back. And that makes me nervous. Yeah. So I do my color afterwards, which is kind of cheating. You can do multiple blocks as well, but
okay.
Now that I have a studio,
right,
we're going to be in action. All right, so now I'm inking up my roller. Since I'm doing this at home, if I were doing this in the studio at Stan State and I had a press, it wouldn't sound like this. You want it to have like a sticky sound, but you don't want it to sound disgusting. But since I'm doing this at home and I'm just using pure manpower to do this, I'm going to ink up this bad boy so hard. So
when you're talking about the sound that the ink makes on the roller, correct?
Yes.
So okay. All right. Yes, I can kind of, let me stop talking.
So it sounds sticky.
It does sound sticky.
And you can see on the surface, you want the texture to be kind of look like fuzzy like a peach, but this is really inky. But like I said, this is just because I'm doing it by hand. I'm gonna stand it for this.
Gotcha. Different process, so different amount of ink.
Yeah. So if I were using a press, it would be set to the correct pressure and all of that. And you don't need as much ink. But since I'm just using my tiny little T-Rex arms.
Your Godzilla arms.
My little Godzilla arms. I like to ink it up more just to make up for the lack of pressure that I can provide. And this is the paper that I like to use when I'm printing at home. It's called Thai Kozo paper. And this kind of paper is made with mulberry bark.
Ooh. And
so the fibers are really like long and durable. So this is like, it looks flimsy, but it's strong. Yeah. And it's thin, which makes it ideal for me personally for printing at home because you don't need as much pressure. If I were to use a really heavy weight, like a BFK Reeves paper, like a high cotton rag, I don't know, for me personally, it comes out super splotchy and kind of ugly, but I think it might just be because I don't do enough push-ups.
Okay.
And these are the tools that I use. I have a print frog.
That's so cool.
You know what this is? There's this really awesome dude from Texas who makes these beautiful glass barons. So this is
that's heavy, frog. Right?
They're heavy.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be using the tadpole because my print is so small and cute. I love it. So tadpole.
He's a baby. Awesome. Okay. Oh, I see. And then you're using, okay. And then like, do you have problems with it shifting ever?
If you ink it up enough, it doesn't shift.
Okay.
So that's why I like to get my plate inky.
Okay. Right, because in a press, obviously, there's less chance of it shifting because you've got the presses doing that for you.
Yeah, and if you don't know what a press looks like, it's got these rollers
Mm-hmm.
and a huge metal press bed, and you crank the lever,
Mm-hmm.
and this roller rolls over your print and shoots it off kind of the other side. The whole bed moves under the roller, and it applies just the perfect amount of pressure. I would kill a man if I could get a press here in the studio.
This is being recorded. I don't know. Should we have admitted that on camera? One of my friends has a press, and she did the first Omni Open Studios and did a little press demo for us. So if anybody's curious about what a press does, you can go and watch Shannon Bedrogi's segment on our media page when this is all done.
I'm definitely gonna check that out.
You should check it out too. Yeah.
And then I can lift this up and kind of show you. So now as I'm applying pressure, you can see the ink is even kind of like showing through. So that's how kind of like beautiful and
transparent that paper is. Yeah.
This paper is.
So cool.
And I can talk about this image in particular. So
yeah,
a lot of my work is about my family. I'm really interested in my family's like personal mythology and our narratives. When you think about it, there's so many things that need to happen for you to be born.
Mm-hmm.
And so just the fact that my parents came together and had me, and I'm so lucky to have had all these awesome family members in my life. Both my grandparents are passed away now. They're my dad's parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, they helped raise me. So I grew up with them, and they weren't together. By the time I was born, they weren't together anymore. My grandma slept downstairs. My grandpa slept upstairs in his room.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of brought them together. I feel like I was the lucky grandchild, because the rest of most of my dad's side of the family still lived in San Jose, still lives there today, where my dad was born.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there. We lived in Modesto in this little pink house, a big pink house. And so I was looking through photos, and I found this one, and there are very few photos of my grandparents together. So I just thought this was so weird.
Mm-hmm.
You know, seeing these people that rarely like affectionately interacted with each other, to be caught in like this kind of almost intimate pose. So this is a recreation from
That's beautiful.
From the photograph that I found.
Oh, how cool. That's awesome. So, okay, watching you peel that off made me think, it's not only are you doing this relief thing where you're scooping away the stuff that you're, to get the drawings, but it's also mirrored.
Yes. So that's something to definitely keep in mind, because this is essentially a huge stamp. If I were to have text on this plate,
you'd have to do it backwards.
It would have to be backwards.
Yeah. Awesome. So, okay, going back to like the content of your work and how it connects to your personal life, there's a couple of pieces that we were talking about that I was hoping you could share, maybe hold up. We talked about the Godzilla one briefly, but I'd love to get back to that. The Virgen Gorgia? Did I say it right?
Virgen de Gojira. So that's kind of a mashup. So I'm Mexican, and if you're Mexican, you're probably Catholic.
Right.
I'm not very Catholic in particular anymore, but just that imagery and the prevalence of it, it's so beautiful, and it reminds me of home. It reminds me of being in my other grandma's house with her statues and her rosaries and her candles and her roses. And it brings back, like, I don't know, warm and fuzzies. And just the idea of like this, of the Virgin Mary, she's just a pillar of strength, like what she went through.
Right.
And so like, and even as like a no longer really Catholic person, you can't deny just what a strong symbol she is. And then this is a mashup with my personal reverence for Godzilla.
Godzilla, yes. So this is like a Maggie statement.
Yeah, so these two icons that are
Can
it
you
makes
imagine
sense.
if they met? Like two very different people?
Yeah.
Creatures? Yes. Very cool. Okay, and then you had an untitled piece that is
Yeah.
also very, very personal.
And if you could screen share that, I don't have that in person at the
Oh, okay.
moment.
I can probably find that. Why don't you let me go find it.
I can kind of show you. So this piece that I'm going to talk about, this one is a screen print, which is the other form of printmaking that I prefer. And I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but this is the transparency. So screen printing is it's like a photoreactive process. And so you coat your screen with something called emulsion. And when it hits light, it hardens.
Oh yeah. Okay, great.
So this is the screen. It's kind of big, so it's hard for you guys to see. But basically,
drop it down a little bit. There we go. Yeah.
I have to get ink on it.
Okay, so you can kind of see it. Yeah, don't get ink on it. You can kind of see like the outline of the piece there. Let me pull up the actual piece on the screen share. I found it.
Okay,
so they kind of they'll be able to picture it better if they've seen the original.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So this orange stuff that I have on the screen, it's called emulsion. And when you lay your stencil on your screen, you hit it with a really bright light, and whatever was black, so you want it opaque black, it blocks the light, and so it's still soft. And wherever the light hits, the emulsion hardens. So when you wash it out, all of your lines are open parts of the screen. So then when you use your squeegee and you squeeze ink through it, it makes your screen print.
Right. And that emulsion blocks the parts where you don't want the ink to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring the drawing back. I just wanted them to see it real quick because it's kind of hard to see the screen, but if you have like an idea of what the shape of the piece is, you can see it better.
Yeah.
So the screen printing process is how you got all the black lines.
Yes.
Yes.
And what I did for this one, since screen printing, I use water-based ink. What I did was I printed the lines in a very light pink, and then I watercolored, and then I printed the black on top.
Oh, so you did that's really clever. So it's almost like you use the ink to be like a pencil drawing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something that wouldn't show up very obviously. Oh,
yeah.
That's so cool. And then aligning that so that you can put down the second coat of black. And of course, the advantage of that is it would also be on top of the watercolor. How was the aligning process? Was that pretty easy or kind of tricky?
So I have a print rig that I made myself. It's basically just a board of, it's just a like wood from Lowe's. And then I put these hinges on it. So you're able to lift your screen up on a hinge. And then I have a piece of Mylar similar to what I did my stencil on. And so what you do is you tape that sucker down so secure so your Mylar doesn't move, because if it moves, you're screwed. Yeah. And then I pull a print on that Mylar. So when I put my paper underneath, I can see exactly where my lines are going to go.
Very cool.
And so, yeah, so this piece, so this is my newest piece. And so when I first started doing printmaking, my prints were very like super literal memories, just like pulled out of the old noggin. And so as I'm kind of like developing my practice and just working more, I'm trying to basically combine these memories with who I am as a person today. Right. And so kind of the struggle between my inner child and me trying to be an adult. And so this piece is kind of me trying to work on that more. And so for me, the strawberry is a symbol of my grandma, who I lived with, because we used to grow them together. It's such a strong, ripe, juicy fruit. I think strawberries are like so powerful and cool. Right. And then in this piece, the roly-polies are kind of, I was having, when Anna was talking, I was like, I play with bugs in my grandma's garden too. Right. I know. I connected those two because I talked to you, and then I talked to Anna a few days later. And so I was like, oh, this is like the bug people. I'm hanging out with the bug people. Doesn't sound nice, but
you get what I'm saying. People that love bugs.
Exactly. So I was super stoked on that. So
Yeah.
this is basically my grandma's garden.
Yeah.
And kind of the symbolism behind this is I moved out of my family home for the first time ever. I'm kind of an old guy already, so it feels weird, but it's very it's satisfying.
Yeah.
But it's a struggle, and I'm still struggling being away from my family. So as I was working on this, I was channeling like kind of feeling low, kind of like self-doubt, being down in the dirt. But when you're there, there's still life around you. There are all these beautiful strawberries, and there's also these like gnarly creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not alone, basically. And as I was working on the posture of the figure, I noticed she kind of resembled the hangman from tarot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what the hangman kind of symbolizes is so kind of like seeing the world from a new perspective. So he's hung upside down, he's physically restrained, but his face is serene. So he's kind of like resigned to this self-sacrifice and kind of like martyrdom.
Right. Yeah.
But for me, it's kind of like a forced new perspective. I'm not resigned to this. I'm struggling. I'm working through it. So kind of the grumpier face, and the hanged man has a halo, which kind of symbols enlightenment, but I just have a butt ton of hair. and so not so much enlightenment, just kind of like wild and reaching and trying to figure things out. And I'm not physically restrained in this, but you're bound to your family.
Right.
You're not literally tied to them, but you're bound to them. And
right. Emotionally, and that makes sense.
So that's kind of the feelings behind this piece.
It's beautiful. Awesome. Okay, well, thanks for sharing that and explaining that to us. I can talk.
Thank you.
That to us. So, okay, you have just updated your shop, and you have a lot of really cool pieces in there.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you've got some prints of the work that we just saw. So the Godzilla and the sticker and the print are both in your shop. Do you want to tell us about a few other like quick things that are in there? It's mostly prints, but they range from like different types of print. I'll let you say it. Different types of printmaking.
Yeah. So I have relief prints and screen prints on there. I have some of these over here. This screen print is in the shop. This is me, my grandmother, and my dog that she got me without asking. My dad gave him away to my cousin shortly after we got him because he ate a bunch of his wires and stuff.
Oh, no.
So just memories and things that were around our house. I have this one with the Parasaurolophus dinosaurs in the shop.
Dinosaurs. And then I saw a patch that was in there that was like a witchy themed patch.
Yeah. I have that around here somewhere.
That's okay. You don't have to do it for it. They can go to the shop and go find it there. But the point is, you have a lot of really cool little prints, and there's a range of price ranges. So like from stickers and patches to prints and like pieces of art that would go up on the wall.
Yeah.
So yeah, very cool. And the link for that, again, go back to our event page. You can find the link for Maggie's shop there. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Maggie.
Yeah, thank you. This was awesome.
Really appreciate it. Awesome. Hey, thanks for watching. For more videos like this, go to the link here. And to support us, you can join the Patreon by going to the link below.